everyone, Nathan Nerdark here from Nerdarchy, for Nerds by Nerds, and today we're going to be talking about druids and what type of people become druids. And with me I have...
Nerdarcist Dave.
Ryan.
And I'm Nerdarcist Ted.
So before we get into the druid thing, we want to talk about the newsletter. Nerdarchy newsletter, you can sign up for it in the link below. You can get all kinds of information about player tips, GM stuff, and where to find us and what we've been doing, and also cool nerdy things. So...
and more.
All right, so what does it take to make a druid?
All right, well, I think special people are druids. There's like kind of like the ranger, when nature is terrible.
When nature calls.
Like there's terrible beasts and monstrosities in there. To hang out in it on a regular basis and think that's way better than the normal, the norm, civilization.
Well, it can be those things, but it can also be beautiful and tranquil as well.
Yeah,
So nature has all these different aspects to it.
But you either like a philosophical kind of guy hanging out with bunnies and stuff, or you're a guy who's just like, screw this city, I'm out of here. Well, I'm gonna go talk to squirrels.
So you're either a misanthrope or there for the splendor.
Well, that's
of
what I mean. Like it takes a special type of person to be an adventurer compared to like a farmer or a cobbler or something as well. So
we got Hippy, the disenfranchised, and also there's
Huntsman.
also the hunter, someone who's just kind of a wild person,
Mm-hmm. So
kind of savage.
When years ago, let's jump back to the Wayback Machine. Ryan's game that he ran, I had a barbarian druid. He was embracing the savage aspect of nature. So like that fits more into the hunter aspect of what you were
like
talking
emulator,
about.
Someone who emulates nature and like savagery, or
you could say that that's loosely connected to the hunter aspect of a druid, but nature deals in cycles. So there's every which way, that you can go about it. You can have someone who goes for the serene, trying to protect nature and keep it strong.
And then you have the Reaper.
And then you have somebody who is like, okay, only the strong will survive because that is the way of nature.
Yeah, or like the fangs in winter kind of feeling to them.
So one of the things too, like there's a couple like old like D&D-isms that used to belong to the druid class, and one was you had to be true neutral. In original AD&D, you being a druid meant you belonged to an order,
right?
And it's funny because once you hit a certain level in that order, you couldn't progress any further
until you killed the other.
There could only be one essentially.
You had to Highlander that shit.
Yeah, you had to beat the guy into position in one-on-one combat to get there. So like that's another thing like that's kind of changed a bit with the druid in 5th edition. You're not as deeply tied to those
weird tropes, Gygaxian sort of themes or whatever.
So now, like you could be a druid that just reveres nature. You could be a druid that worships a nature deity.
You could treat it more like sorceress powers. Like you just have power over creatures and the ability to shape change and more like gift it to you rather than something.
You could definitely go that route.
You could play it that you have lycanthropic blood, perhaps, because I mean the Druid of the Moon, like with being able to shape change so prodigiously. Story wise, it works out that my great grandfather was a full on werewolf or something like that down the line. So
the blood of shape changers, I like that. That's an aspect that can influence your backstory, and even how that your personality would shape.
And also too, like the sort of like region for rangers and druids, like the region that your guy would choose to hang out with, like a druid that hangs out in the forest or a jungle is going to be very different from a druid that hangs out in a swamp. How
the terrain influences.
You might be like drearier or like more gothy if you're like the swamp druid.
You take on characteristics of your region. I see that even more so with Circle of the Land than the of the moon, because your actual class features and abilities actually stem from that. And the mechanics mean something, right? They mean something that. In the game other than just mechanics, and that's where you can fold that into the personality of the character. If it's in a mountain region and that's your favorite terrain, then you might be more stoic and also almost like dwarf-like in your personality.
Because everybody should try to be more like dwarves, in your opinion.
They should. Probably.
Well, I was thinking for the mountains, the Druid of the mountains, Druid of the land for mountain range, like a Goliath from that could be like the supreme, the like primo aspect of what being a Goliath means, because he's got all that kind of
the epitome of
I mean, he can move stone and stuff like that's cool. So it'd be kind of like he could be a priest or a shaman version for that kind of thing. Where
from a role playing situation too, the interesting thing difference between rangers and druids, I feel like a druid is far less beholden to society and more likely to just stay in the wilds. Where I feel like the ranger goes between worlds.
Well, that's I was going to say that exactly. He is one who ranges back and forth. They'll come into town to trade wares, resupply. While they can survive out in nature, they do want to.
They feel like they still have ties to civilization.
Though, like really, you could do an urban, like say, like a druid that like really wants to tend over like. Sort of the farmland of the city or whatever. So you could do like an urban or rural druid, and like that's another characteristic. This guy who like kind of teaches the stewardship over the land and the environment. Like, so you could make the one that's like pro the development of society in as best best accord with nature. Or you can make the druid that like is a total anarchist that wants to destroy any society that encroaches into his lands, or
it's Greenpeace to the extreme. You can go PETA as well. With your druid's personality and their outlook and views on the world and life. They might want to see everything return to its primal state, as it should be in their mind.
Yeah. Hey, I'll point out Hitler was a vegetarian. Like you could make this like vegetarian, like kind of hippity-dippity druid who's also kind of awful, like chaotic,
oh my God,
chaotic evil.
I'm picturing like a Bob Ross personality.
So he's speaking with that calm demeanor, but it's just like, well, I'm gonna just kill all the people. All the people.
There will not be one block standing upon another when I am finished.
Well, and then put a happy little bush where your corpse was. Just put that bush right here.
I'll plant that seed right in your heart.
That'll be our little secret right here. So if you guys grew up with Bob Ross, this will make some sense. And if you're too young for that, go check out Bob Ross, because he's amazing.
He's all over the place. Find him on the internet.
There's that great one where he's doing the Dungeons & Dragons cover painting. That's an awesome image.
Happy little Trent here.
Well, no, it was like he's painting like the original cover from like the Dungeon Masters guy, the demon. A
little happy little Trent in your dungeon here. That's usually part of the meme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what would you say? I want to wrap this up and just like final thoughts with aspects to consider when you're creating your druid character as a player.
You just figure out the parts of the states of nature that you want to try to epitomize. Really, like, are you going after a feel of a certain predator or a season, or maybe does your druid want to like favor the prey, like the things that are trying to escape the grasp of nature's crueler aspects?
Beyond that, as we talked about, like how did you come into these powers? Did you train under a master? Are they a gift from your blood, from nature itself, from some other entity that's been watching over you?
Are you a gypsy?
I've got like a sliding scale. I feel like for three things. You have how the druid deals with society, like what does he think about cityscape and the expanse of human order, and what aspects of nature he brings with him, dealing with people in general and when he's out. And for the third one, I guess is like how I guess he portrays nature to other people. Like, I mean, he can think whatever, but what actions do you take? Are you showing that nature is savage, or are you showing that the kind of like growth and renewal aspects of it? So personality-wise, I feel like you can kind of shift the philosophy or talking points of the druid towards those avenue based on what they think. So I would think about 3 statements for each one of those that kind of fits the druid's personality that he might even say every once in a while.
It's almost like you have spectrum and all those sort of things, and you figure out where you plot point on those spectrums.
Yeah, so if he thinks it's like survival of the fittest kind of concept, and that's the way the world is great. Well, then he might revere the wolf, but at the same time have an axe made out of a wolf bone, shoulder blade or something, or make things of the wolf and wear wolf skins. Not because he's trying to necessarily, he reveres it, but at the same time sees that use, for that savagery of it for that purpose. So that's like when he gets his fighting face on, that's what he wants to be. He wants
almost
to be
like a totem aspect.
Yeah, like a totem aspect. So maybe he has different totems.
He may like and revere the wolves. They're not so hot on him, though.
Yeah, and or it might be like, I think a really cool druid would be one that considers different aspects, like he's trying to be different things. Like, well, what would a tree do in this instance? Like, I need to be patient like the tree, or kind of almost like a monk order kind of thing, but individualized for that individual druid. Which means you can just basically make whoever you want. You just have to kind of back it up with some kind of nature hoopy doo. So
Nice.
All right. You got any final thoughts, Dave?
Pretty much you guys have summed it up. I just want to say you're going to decide whether it's going to be a physical character or more of a mystic character. You guys let us know in the comments below what you think. What are the key points for the Druid as far as you're concerned? While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
You can head over to nerdarchy.com and check out the articles there.
you can also check out the forum over at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.